Good morning. Thank you very much. I was trying to find the unmute button and it wasn't popping up like it was 30 seconds ago. So of course, that's what happened. So thank you so much for having me here today. I appreciate everyone's time. And as Yasmin said, my name is Orysia Buchan. I am the Corporate Supplier Diversity Government Programs Manager with Lockheed Martin. And I'm here to answer any questions that you have about doing work with Lockheed Martin and really government primes in general, as we all pretty much work in the same way. Feel free to write your questions in the chat. I will kind of be doing a game time decision if I take questions during the call or at the end. So we'll see. But for Lockheed Martin, we have about 114,000 employees, and over half of those employees are scientists and engineers. So we have, obviously we have a whole lot of tech people here, but we're always looking for more because we don't have the market on smart people, obviously. And the one thing with large companies like Lockheed, being the largest government prime in the world, is that we don't move at the speed of light like small businesses do. And we need that agility to help us propel forward. We have over 395 plus facilities worldwide. We're in over 54 countries, and almost 8,000 of those employees are not in the US. So we have a huge footprint. Our customers, we are primarily DoD focused. That is our by and large biggest customer. That said, we also do work with the other three-letter agencies: DHS, Department of Commerce, DOE, Department of State, DOT. We also do work with NASA, intelligence communities, and over 100 nations globally. And we are increasing our footprint as well, so internationally. So that is an area of growth, is our international area. So we are all over the place, and obviously with the threats that Russia poses with its war with Ukraine, also China, we want to ensure that speak softly and carry a big stick. We really want to ensure that the U.S. is safe, its allies are safe from the bad guys out there. So it's important to have government primes. It's important to have you as small businesses who can work in the field to subcontract to the government primes, because a lot of what we do is subcontracted out. We are divided into 4 business areas. Our aeronautics business area is what you think of when you think Lockheed Martin. It's if anyone remembers the 1980s, it's kind of the glamour shots of the company. It's what you see mostly. So they do sustainability of aircraft, development of aircraft, and that's what they do. They do aircraft. So advanced development, tactical fighters, JSF, F-35, all those stealth fighters is from our aeronautics division. Missiles and fire control. You've heard a lot about the JASM recently in helping Ukraine, and gosh, it really has made such a huge difference there. Our missiles and fire control, they do things that basically explode. They are predominantly in Huntsville, Alabama. They are in Dallas, Texas, and they also have an Orlando, Florida site as well. I neglected to mention that our aeronautics business area is in Fort Worth, Texas, and as well as Palmdale, California, and Marietta, Georgia. So those are the primary sites. And when I say primary, there are a lot of other sites with missiles and fire control, aero, RMS, and space, but those are the largest ones. Our rotary mission systems, they kind of are a catch-all, if you will. They do a lot of training and logistics and training on those fighter jets. They do cyber and electronic warfare, maritime solutions, sonar, radar. They have sites in Syracuse, Morristown, New Jersey. in Orlando, Florida, there's a site, but primarily in the Northeast. There's many RMS facilities in the Northeast. Space is primarily in Denver, Colorado, as well as the Sunnyvale, California area, which is outside of San Francisco. Also Huntsville, Alabama. But they do basically what you would think. They track weather, they do GPS, surveillance, navigation, human and deep space exploration, all sorts of items like that. So we have the corporate, which is our enterprise operations area, of which I am a part, and those 4 business areas that tie into corporate. We used to have a 5th business area called IS and GS. And forgive me, I already forgot what the acronym stands for, but they were our IT arm. So I want to make mention of that because I know some of you are IT focused companies. We sold a lot of our IT to Leidos. So we still need IT, obviously, but if you aren't knocking down Leidos's door and you're an IT company, please make sure you do that. And here is, again, just kind of an easy eye chart for the locations we have all over the country. Okay, so here's some information from 2021. This is GFY 2021 government fiscal year, which goes from October 1st, 2021 through September 30th, 2020. It goes from October 1st through September 30th of the following year. So if this is government fiscal year 2021, it went from October 1st, 2020 through September 30th, 2021. And we are currently in GFY 2022. So for every dollar committed to suppliers, over 20% was awarded to small businesses. So over $5.6 billion was awarded to small last year. Our supply chain, over 60% comprised of small businesses with whom we procure first-tier suppliers. We have over 7,500 small businesses with whom we procure across all the 50 states. And with COVID, there really was a huge push on accelerated payments. So let's not wait 30, 60 days to pay these small businesses for the work they did. Let's accelerate it to much, much quicker. And we did, I'll tell you, we did a bang up job on doing that. And we have over 9,200 suppliers who have received accelerated payments. Okay, so what you really need to do in a room full of, or an aquarium full of goldfish, is you really need to differentiate yourself. Show how you are a shark. Show how you can really make a difference to our supply chain. And here's what we need. So top NAICS codes. So here are what we typically use from small businesses. I'm not going to read this to you, but I will pause so you can check it out, what you currently are versus what our needs typically are. Okay. And Yasmin, feel free to send this to your participants after the call. They can have a copy of these slides. So quality is prime contractors seek and new suppliers. So not just Lockheed, but anyone. You want to highlight these things: past performance with a federal customer, experience with Lockheed or other primes, experience in one of our industries, quality certs, security clearances, cybersecurity readiness, CMMC level 5, socioeconomic status, location, technology unique to their company, anything patented, differentiating factors, be that shark, supplier of needed services. So really, when it's very important to, and I'm skipping through right here. Okay, it's very important that you are able to articulate what you do and how you are different from others. Because a lot of people, there are some companies who erroneously come to me and my colleagues and say, hey, I'm an SDB. I know you need SDBs, so use me. Well, no, we will use you if you can differentiate yourselves. If you can show that you have, you can meet our needs. So you can't hang your hat on a socioeconomic status and get a job from that. You really need to differentiate yourself. So I would like you guys to do something for me. I would like you to please pull out your business cards if you have one. So I'm going to pause, and please feel free to grab your card. I'll give you a minute. Not a minute. I'll give you like 30 seconds. A minute is kind of long. All right. Hopefully you have one with you. And if not, imagine your card. Now, the shiny cards, if you have a shiny card, I don't know if you can raise your virtual hand, if I can see it or not, but the shiny cards are nice, right? Because they're nice and shiny. Who doesn't like something shiny? I hate those cards. Why do I hate those cards? Because I can't write on the back of them because the shininess makes it so you can only have a certain pen that will write through the shininess and it won't wipe off and it will actually write. So if you have a shiny card, keep it, that's fine. But when you reorder, consider a regular card that's not shiny. Looking at your card again, make sure on your card you have obviously information that is up to date. You don't want to give old information, but so your company name, your name, etc. Include your socioeconomic status on it, because that is a differentiator. You're not going to get the job because of your socioeconomic status, but your socioeconomic status really does make a difference. Include that. I found, for whatever reason, service-disabled veterans do not like to highlight their socioeconomic status. Please do, because, use whatever contacts, use whatever differentiators you have, and that is a differentiator. Do you have your NAICS codes written on your card, your primary NAICS? Help us remember who you are, and that is one thing you can do. Have your primary NAICS on the card. Also, if there are any certifications you have, any security clearances, write those on the card. Again, don't make us remember you because we're going to be at a conference meeting, 50 people a day, 50 companies a day. Write it on the card so that we don't have to guess. So I'm not sure, did anyone pass the test? Did anyone have all of those things on the card? You can write in on the, I don't know, it was our Q&A. I see a chat. You can write it in the chat. Yep. Yep, you can do a QR code. Okay, so I highly recommend, I didn't read all of those, but I highly recommend going, including those. Keep in mind also, a lot of companies think, okay, I'm in Syracuse, New York, and I want to do work with Syracuse, New York, because they are 10 minutes away from my business. Well, keep in mind, they might not have the needs that they might not procure from that site for what you do. So what you might do is something that might be in Colorado or Texas or wherever. So please keep that in mind, that we're, for example, RMS does procurement sites outside of Cherry Hill, Morristown, New Jersey, and they procure for other sites within RMS. So it really all depends. Do want to mention one thing, our aeronautics business area, if you are a manufacturer, you must be AS 9100 to work with our aeronautics business area. If you are not AS 9100 certified, please do not knock on aeronautics door. It will be closed to you. The other business areas potentially would still use you though, but Aero would not. Okay. Respond to an RFP, RFQ. So this seems kind of common sense, but it happens all the time. So your small business liaison officers, SBLOs at companies like Lockheed, their jobs are to help get you through the door. And when they go to a buyer or a procurement representative and saying, hey, I've got this great new company, Bagels Inc., and I think that they would really meet your needs. So the buyer say, okay, great. Well, if they issue you an RFQ, RFP, and you don't respond, then guess who they're not going to be calling again? They're not going to be calling Bagels Inc. And not only that, but the SBLO's name is slightly tarnished because they recommended you. They're not going to recommend you to anyone again, period. End of story. You have one time to make a first impression. You will not get a second first impression. If you no bid, that's totally fine. But tell them, hey, I'm not going to be bidding right now. And this is why, but please keep me in mind for future work. That's fine, but don't just not respond. If you have questions, ask. Don't just assume, because you might be assuming wrong and you're gonna lose the potential work because of that. And read and understand all the terms and conditions, quality and delivery requirements. And sometimes they are pretty robust and you have to really look at attachments to get the full scope. Make sure you do that. And return calls and emails promptly. I had a procurement person once who had a very quick turnaround. They had like 5 days to issue the RFP and get a response back. And the small business had their chance and just never bothered to contact back until it was too late, like a week after that. So make sure that you are responsive. Cost, quality, delivery, on time, every time, 100% in everything you do. It goes without saying. You don't want to overbid or you don't want to go over your cost quote. You want to be on schedule and you want to show that you are a quality company. At Lockheed Martin, when you do get the opportunity for work, oftentimes we like the crawl, walk, run approach, which means, hey, we'll give you a little bit now and see how you do. You're going to crawl. If you do well, meaning you don't go over your costs, you don't go over your schedule, and you are showing quality work, then you're going to walk. We'll give you more work to do. And after that, if you do well, then you're going to run with us and you're going to get more work. So make sure that you're quoting what you can actually do. Stay protected. Everyone knows about CMMC, or a lot of people know about CMMC. It's really imperative for businesses to make the investment to protect their infrastructure, because quite frankly, subcontractors, and I'm not good at being delicate, small businesses are often the weak link for cybersecurity breaches, because, let's face it, you don't have an army that is working in cybersecurity for you. You can't. And so the bad guys know that, and they try to breach you guys. And then if you're a subcontractor to Lockheed, then they can get into Lockheed. And believe me, there are bad guys who are trying to get into Lockheed as I'm speaking this second. So you want to ensure that that you are compliant. So there is help out there. The DoD has a special program that they do work for it's like their own Mentor-protege program for cybersecurity. So if you are unaware of that, It's called Project Spectrum. Then you can Google Project Spectrum and find out more about how the US government is helping small businesses in the area of cybersecurity, how they're mentoring them. I've heard good things about the program. So the government primes like Lockheed are not involved. It's direct from DoD to the small businesses. Again, the name is Project Spectrum. Lockheed, excuse me, Lockheed Martin also provides training in this area. If you go to lockheedmartin.com and you go to our cybersecurity site, you'll see you can take a cybersecurity readiness quiz, and you can also get training information on our website as well. And this is the cybersecurity questionnaire that in which I was referring. ExoStar PIM cybersecurity section, blank cybersecurity form. So you'll be able to find this right on the below, or this website below. And again, Yasmin can give you a copy. So probably the $20 million question, steps to market to Lockheed Martin. So if you remember nothing else about this presentation, I want you to please remember this website, or you'll go to this website. And when you go to this website, follow these 5 steps in becoming a subcontractor. So number 1, do your homework and identify a target. Is it space? Is it Aero? Is it RMS? Is it, who did I leave out? MFC. Or maybe it's all of them, that all of them could be using the work. Okay, good. You want to differentiate yourself in that. So there is, on that site, there's also a contact us button, and you'll be able to write your capabilities statement in that area. Be brief, be to the point. And I prefer bullets personally because I think it's easier to read. So for example, Bagels Inc., veteran-owned and service-disabled veteran-owned small business, primary NAICS, and list your primary NAICS, any certifications, any clearances you have, experience. Hey, we've worked with Boeing before, we've worked with whoever before, and that would be that would be a good capabilities. Say what you actually do. And please forward this email to SBLOs in aeronautics business area, or SBLOs in missiles and fire control and RMS. So there are real people who answer the email address under contact us, and they will forward it to the appropriate personnel. But do your homework and tell them to whom you would like your information forwarded. There is a supplier marketing portal, step number 2. If you are not in the portal, we can't find you when we do research. You need to be in the portal for us to even give you work. So make sure you're in the supplier marketing portal. There are many times that our SBLOs and our procurement reps go in and say, hey, I'm looking for a company that does IT with this kind of clearance, or et cetera. That is one of the first places they look. So make sure you're in the portal. Meet influencers, number 3. We have an events listing right on this website, and we are able to, where you could potentially meet with Lockheed Martin personnel. For example, we're going to Navy Gold Coast in August. We do many conferences throughout the year. Some are still virtual, some are face-to-face now. It just kind of depends. And you can potentially meet with Lockheed Martin as well as other government primes. I also want to recommend that you go to, you utilize your affiliates. I'm glad you're here, you're utilizing your PTAC, but perhaps you can, if you're a women-owned small business, for example, you can utilize WIP, Women Impacting Public Policy, or WeBank, or if you're a veteran-owned small business, we work extremely well with VIP. So if you Google VIP Montgomery Chamber of Commerce, you'll be able to find a whole bunch of information on them. We do, or we had been doing, like every other week webinars with them, where they've been bringing companies to us to meet with them. and we track our return on investment, which ones we're actually issuing purchase orders to or issuing RFPs to. Incidentally, VIP is awesome in that they provide free training and face-to-face training for some of it too, like week-long training in Montgomery County, Maryland, which is just amazing training for any company who wants to work in the government programs arena. I can't speak highly enough. I think all you have to do is pay for your travel there once you get accepted. But the training itself is free and lodging as well. So look into it if you're a veteran-owned or SDV OSB company, please. For those who are high-tech firms, and these are for high-tech firms only, number 4, subscribe to SBIR STTR. So SBIR is Small Business Innovation Research, STTR, Small Business Technology Transfer. And what that is, well, actually, let me see if I'm getting ahead of myself. I am getting ahead of myself a little bit, but that's okay. It's for high-tech firms. SBIR and STTR is America's seed fund for tomorrow's technologies. So things like hypersonic or more AI or nano, or name the technology, big data. That is what is focused on for SBIR STTR. It's an awesome program. And basically, well, gosh, I'll tell you a great example. One company with whom Lockheed Martin was a mentor, they were an SBIR company, and they did hearing devices. So these hearing devices, basically picture yourself standing right next to a very loud helicopter, because when our helicopter is quiet, right? So you can't hear the person next to you because it's too loud. And if you were wearing normal hearing protection, you wouldn't be able to hear the person next to you either, nor could you hear the helicopter as much. So what they developed is hearing protection where it muffles the sound of the helicopter, but you can hear and talk with the person next to you. The technology was absolutely amazing, and they needed help with manufacturing of it. So Lockheed Martin partnered with this company, and through the Mentor-protege program, we were able to utilize that program to help train them and assist them with the manufacturing of their technology. So that's just one good news story that always comes to mind, but there are many others with whom we have worked and we've utilized successfully Mentor-protege with SBIR. So for those interested in SBIR, just FYI, there are a number of phases. Phase 1 is essentially a white paper. So the government comes in and says, hey, I have these, and every solicitation is different. There are typically 3 to 4 DoD solicitations a year. That all changed with COVID, and but let's call it 3 to 4. And there could be 30 topics. There could be 350 topics. Usually it's about 100-ish, but it depends. And Lockheed Martin then goes through those topics, and we actually type in our people's names and email addresses for those interested in each particular topic. We then distribute that. We email it through our SBIR to our SBIR distribution list, and those individuals can then look to see who our topics of interest are, what our topics of interest are, and contact those individuals directly for topics of mutual interest. And then if we like what we're hearing, we write a letter of support, and that helps actually win the phase 1. Phase 1 is usually approximately $150,000. It's a white paper essentially, and about 4 to 5 companies tend to be awarded for each topic from the government. Phase 2 is the government looks at who did the phase 1s, and they award typically one phase 2 to a company for each topic. And that tends to be about 1.5 to 2 years in duration, and approximately $1.5 million. And that's where the rubber hits the road. That's where you're going to show your technology works. Phase 3 is a commercialization, utilizing that technology into an actual program of record, whether it's Lockheed or Boeing or Raytheon or to the US government directly, but it's really where you can make a difference. So I highly encourage those who are technology companies to subscribe to our distribution list for SBIR, STTR. I am the corporate co-lead for Lockheed Martin's participation in that program. And you might be wondering, well, what's the difference between the two, SBIR, STTR? SBIR means small business only. They don't care what socioeconomic status you are. STTR is slightly less dollars, and you have to involve a research institution. So that is the main difference between the two. And obviously, step 5, bring opportunities to us. Give us answers to our challenges. We have a number of resources available. If you go to our website, I lead the Supplier Training Excellence Program, STEP for short, and we provide webinars, free webinars to whoever wants to attend. We typically do about 5 a year, and we have various topics. We did, how to respond to an RFP, proposal writing. We did environmental safety and health a couple of weeks ago. We do basically, you name it, we tend to do it. So highly encourage that. The slides are all on our website. If you go to lockheedmartin.com and under supplier diversity, you'll be able to see STEP, or you can click right here as well. We have a what we buy list where you can see here, and you can see what's under corporate agreement and what's not. So if you do something that is under corporate agreement, for example, if you sell office supplies under corporate or long-term agreement, so that's a status. So I recommend you contact the contact us button on that and say, hey, and type in your company name, socioeconomic status, NAICS, et cetera, how you differentiate your experience, expertise, and say, hey, I know that this area is under corporate agreement for office supplies. Could you tell me when the window opens for that, when that agreement will be done, and when would be a good time to reach out? Someone will get back to you, and make sure you mark your calendar because you want to be able to contact them again at the appropriate time. Also on that Supplier Training Excellence Program site, not only do we list our webinars, but we list our affiliates training, and we also have the Project Spectrum information on there. So you'll be able to see what VIP is doing. You'll be able to see what others are doing, all free of charge to you. So again, a really, really good resource that you can utilize. The Lockheed Martin Ethics Program or Ethics Organization also offers its own training. They offer ethics mini courses, setting up an effective ethics program where you can just, click on each one of these at your leisure. They're short and sweet and to the point and really help you, because per government legislation, FAR or DFAR, every small business working with a government through a government prime even must have an ethics program. You have to, per law. So this will help you. Also, they have their own Mentor-protege program. It's not the US government's, but it is its own, that they actually take their time and they mentor you, tailoring to your company ethics programs, making sure you have a code of conduct, making sure you have policies and procedures in place, et cetera, et cetera. It's wonderful. So I highly encourage you to go to the site and check it out, especially if you are a newer company and may not have that information. Now, I talked ahead of myself regarding SBIR. I knew I was, but that's okay. So here's the exact website. If you go to lockheedmartin.com, it's under Innovations, SBIR, because SBIR is not a procurement program, it's a technology program. So I want to ensure to differentiate between the two. Also under here, so you'll be able to register your company, to get into our database. You'll be able to send a quad chart if you have a technology right now, but it's not tied to a current solicitation. And that there's an email address sent to whatever it is. I'm the one actually answering those emails behind the scenes, so I can attest there's a real person, aka me, who answers those emails to the SBIR generic email account. A cool thing is too, is there's on step 3, there's an avenues for high-tech firms. So if SBIR is not of interest to you, but perhaps Lockheed Martin Ventures is, or Tech Scouts, you'll be able to see information on there. Now, I mentioned Mentor-protege briefly, and I want to mention it again. Now, a lot of people come up to me. I'm the corporate lead for the Mentor-protege program for Lockheed Martin's participation in it, I should say. And I want to impress on you 2 very important things. A lot of people are like, yes, I want to be a protege. Awesome. I encourage you to do so. But for Lockheed Martin, we want to ensure we know you before we marry you. That means we want to ensure that you're a good supplier before we marry you in the program. So you must be a current Lockheed Martin supplier before we would consider you as a potential future protege. We want to ensure that you are a quality company, that you are meeting your commitments. You're not going over price. You're not going behind schedule, etc. So that is why we do that. We also want to ensure that your company is financially sound. So we want to ensure that you have been in business for a minimum of 5 years to ensure financial stability. Mentor-protege does not actually cost you anything out of pocket, unless there is something that you have to buy for cyber or some big need that is not part of the Mentor-protege agreement, but it's something you need to propel your company forward. Then that might cost you. It all depends. But there is an opportunity cost, and that opportunity cost is your people are being taken away from work, from their daily work, to get trained. So that's why you need to ensure that in the Mentor-protege program, you don't sign up for the world when you might not be making your commitments or meeting your commitments. If people are getting trained and they're away for, contracts training for a week, and, who's going to hold the fort down. So that is why we do that. And this email address, supplier.communications@lmco.com, that is the same email address that goes to the Contact Us button on the website, same exact one. And but if you do, if you are a current protege or current subcontractor, and if you have been in the business for a minimum of 5 years, please type in your interest in becoming a potential protege and type in these areas. Basically, your capability statement, Dun & Bradstreet number, diversity status, expertise, experience, certifications. That is very important. Lockheed Martin Joint Ventures. This is a website. This information is also can be found in other avenues for small business that I mentioned earlier, but they do work in the below focus areas. Now, I'm not sure how many of you are high-tech firms, but if you do work in any of the below bullets where it says Lockheed Martin Ventures focus areas, I highly recommend you go to this site as well. I think it might be very fruitful for you. Before I close off and open it up to questions, I would like to see, because I think some of you might be newer companies, I would like to hear someone practice their capability statement. Can one, Jasmine, can one of them be unmuted if anyone wants to, either in the chat rate that they want to, or raise their virtual hand?
Hi, Orysia. Thank you. Yeah, that was a great presentation. And yeah, I think that's a great idea. So what would you like to do? Have somebody share their screen and show their capability statement and you give feedback? I'm not sure what you're trying to do.
I would like to hear it. I would like to hear it. They don't have to share their screen, but I would like to hear their audio, because I've had so many companies come up to me and saying, hey, I'm XYZ company. I'm a veteran-owned business. I know you need me. Well, that's an awful capability statement because it's not telling me anything about what you do. And it's assuming, to me, or companies saying, hey, I do this and that. What does Lockheed Martin do? So never do that. Before you go to any company, always do your homework. Always do your homework because they might not do anything that you do. So I'll give you an example right now of a good, a pretty good capability statement. And if anyone wants to be brave enough and show theirs, I think that would be great. So let me just make something up off the fly. So my name is Orysia Buchan. I'm from Bagels Inc. Here's my business card. We do work in, no, I'm thinking quickly, in, office supplies. We have supplied office supplies to Coca-Cola and to Dell and Boeing. We are a women-owned small business and veteran-owned small business company. We do work, although we are based in Syracuse, New York, we can supply office supplies all over the North and Southeast. Something like that. For that example, no, I didn't have any certifications or clearances because I picked something that didn't, but I would have added that. One thing I could have added also is we've been in business for X amount of years. So you know your businesses better than what I just made up in my head. Who would like to try?
Okay, that's a great idea, great example. So what I'll do now before we open it up is I'm going to pause the recording just to protect your privacy, because obviously this video will be played on YouTube and you may not want information about your business out there. So I'm going to pause the recording.
Again, again, not the 8A, but STB, small disadvantaged business. So we utilize all of those, and we utilize only small as well. So if you're only small, don't think, oh no, I can't get in. But we utilize everyone. But obviously, the need there has to be a need, and you have to differentiate yourself from your competition.
Okay, well, that's great. Well, that looks like I don't see any further questions. So I am going to be sending out this recording and the presentation to you all. I'd like to thank Orysia so much for giving us a great presentation there and doing some real life examples. That was really valuable. And I'd like to thank our audience as well for participating. So look out for my email. I'll be sending it shortly. I'd like to thank you all again today, and we will see you all on a future PTAC webinar. Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye.